I wake up every morning after the same nightmare. The curtains haven't yet caught the morning light. The room remains dim, grey and still. As I sit up in bed, I feel a scream stuck in my throat. I'm awake, but part of me is still there, still inside the nightmare, inside that red-nosed shadow. My name is Aylin, but when I was little, my mum used to call me Ai. And for some reason, I always wake up from the same place, the same night, the same smell, the same laughter, and every morning, my fingertips ache, as if I've been walking all night. Have you ever wandered in your sleep, unaware of where you've gone or who you've become? If you have, I'm glad I'm not the only one. When I was 7, my parents took me to a clown show. It was the last thing they did together, as a family. That day, surrounded by colorful balloons under the circus tent, something happened. Not long after the show began, I told them I needed the restroom. I slipped out the back door on my own. And that's when I saw him, a man behind one of the tents. He wore a white clown suit, his face painted, but soot blackened up to his eyes. He wasn't looking at me. He was smiling. And even though his face faced mine, his eyes, he had no eyes. That moment never left me. I don't know who he was or what he wanted, but something changed in me that day. After that, I began sleepwalking. It followed me into adulthood. Sometimes I'd simply wander to the kitchen, stand silently by the sink. But other times, I'd wake up somewhere else entirely, with muddy feet, bruised hands, smears of dried makeup on my face, blue paint under my nails, red thread tangled in my fingers, white powder dusted across my palms, and always the same feeling, as if the clown behind the tent had climbed inside me. I started therapy. My psychologist said it was repressed childhood trauma, but no diagnosis could explain the echo of that laughter inside me. One night, a security camera caught me. I had walked to the bathroom in my sleep, drawn a red circle on my nose with lipstick, blue shadows under my eyes, and in the mirror. I was crying, but I was laughing too. My chin trembled, tears fell, yet I smiled. Two voices collided in my mind. One was a child, the other laughed as it spoke. I started a sleep diary. Each morning, I recorded what I found by my bed. Blue paint under nails, red thread between fingers, window open, no footprints. A faint laugh, still ringing in my ears. They weren't dreams. They were evidence, signs of something shifting. Have you ever heard laughter in your dreams or spoken with someone you didn't know? One night, it rained. I heard tapping at the window. I pulled the curtain back, just for a second. I saw it, a figure under the street lamp, back turned, white suit, red hair, a small crooked hat, and then the smell of that circus tent, as if it was right there, beneath my skin. I closed my eyes on my pillow. When I opened them, I was lying on a muddy forest path. And on my bed that morning, a clown whistle, the kind they give to kids. Except this one had my name on it, Aylin. Reality and dream had blurred. I showed it to my therapist. He said, "Your mind created it." But the whistle was in my hand. I could feel its weight, its chill. That night, someone had touched me. A soft press, like a nose against my skin, cold, circular. I laugh at how much I paid that therapist, $500, just to feel worse. He listened, sure, but he never heard me. I used to laugh all the time as a child, but after that circus, my laughter stopped, at least during the day. At night, something else laughed. Every night, without fail, I would wake up to it. That same sound, and now, I wonder, am I the clown? Last week, 3:07 a.m., caught on camera again. I was dancing in the hallway, arms outstretched, gliding slowly. But something was wrong. My shadow wasn't following me. I turned right. It turned left. I smiled. It stared. And then it leaned in and placed a red nose on me. This morning, I woke up with a red balloon at the foot of my bed. Tied to it, a note in childish handwriting. You played great, aye. See you again tonight. Signed, the Shadow Clown. I still laugh, but I don't know why. Something watches me. And every night, it becomes more like me. A little closer, a little louder. Do you think we can become someone else in our sleep? Can a shadow learn how to wear your skin? If it were you, what would you do? My name is Sophia. It's hard for me to write this story, even harder to think about it. But sometimes, nightmares lose their power when you finally tell them. At least that's what I'm hoping. Some time ago, I started sleepwalking again. But this time, the thing that found me in bed wasn't silence. There was something in the room, and the face of that something belonged to a clown. As a child, I loved to laugh. I would mimic my mother's voice just to make my father smile. But laughter slowly vanished from our house. I grew up, and people forget how to laugh when they grow up, especially after betrayal, after heartbreak, after pain that leaves you wondering if happiness was ever even real. Now I live alone, in an old 2-story house. The red bricks have faded. The windows are always fogged. At night, a cold silence settles over everything. And it was in that silence that it began. That night, I suddenly found myself standing in the living room. Another sleepwalking episode, I thought. But this time felt different. I wasn't wearing socks. My bare feet were freezing against the wooden floor. And in my hand was a red plastic nose, hard, still warm. The next morning, I checked every room, especially the old nursery upstairs. I never use it. But the door was slightly open. Inside, dusty books lined the shelves. And on the bed, a clown puppet, sitting, as if it had been waiting. I never placed it there. Its outfit was old. A blue polka dot jumpsuit, a crooked little hat, and a smile that didn't reach its eyes. Would you keep something like that in your house? A toy that feels like it's watching? That night, 2:43 a.m., I found myself in another room, but this time, I wasn't holding anything. Only a feeling, like I was being watched. There was a shadow in the hallway, still, unmoving, but when I blinked, it was closer. My eyes filled with tears, because it wasn't a person. It was a tall figure, over 2 meters, long arms, a face painted white, and it laughed. Not with a voice, but with the sound of a broken record. Crackling, distorted, mechanical, and the strangest part, it was laughing with me. I couldn't take it anymore. I set up cameras throughout the house. I needed to know what was happening at night. And when I reviewed the footage, I saw myself moving from room to room, sleepwalking. But what truly terrified me was the figure peeking around the hallway corner. Its face wasn't clear, but that red nose was glowing. What would you do if you saw something like that in your own home? Please tell me in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone. One morning, I felt something on my face. I ran to the mirror. Clown makeup, my eyes painted black, my mouth smeared red. And across my forehead, one word: smile. I tried to wipe it away, but it didn't come off. It felt like there was another version of me inside. One that only comes out at night, one that never forgets to laugh, but laughs in a way that hurts One night, I woke up inside the nursery. The puppet was gone, but on the floor, footprints, large, not mine. And in the middle, a circle drawn in red. It looked like blood. I was sitting inside it, on a tiny chair, fast asleep, with the red nose still on my face. Who had placed me there? Why? Was I just being used? Turned into a clown for someone else's twisted fantasy? Clowns are supposed to entertain children, but who finds them funny anymore? One day, I tried to leave, but when I reached the front door, there was no lock, no handle. It was bolted to the wall. The windows didn't show the outside world anymore, only fog. And then, from the hallway, that laughter again. I whispered to myself, "This isn't me. This isn't me." I checked the final video. I was asleep in bed, but someone came up behind me. Not a stranger. Me. The other version of me. With face paint, with that crooked smile. She leaned in and whispered, "Remember to laugh." Now, as I write this, I know I'm not alone in the room, and I'm afraid to laugh, because I know what wakes up when I do. What about you? When you wake up in the middle of the night and look in the mirror, are you sure it's still you? Tell me in the comments. Maybe we're not alone. Laughter can be a mask for pain. But sometimes you don't know who's wearing the mask. Sometimes, before I even open my eyes in the morning, I feel something strange. In those blurry seconds between sleep and wakefulness, memories flash through my mind. Memories that don't feel like mine. I never liked clowns as a child, but now I know. It's not just dislike, it's something much deeper. My name is Elif. When I was little, my mom used to call me Smiley. She loved my smile, but I don't smile anymore, because I don't remember what I do at night. And every morning, I wake up somewhere else. One morning, I found myself sitting on a kitchen chair. My eyes were half closed, my hair a mess. And on my lap was a clown nose, bright red, rubber, like a child's toy. I looked around. The chairs were moved, arranged neatly around the table, like a small audience. And I was center stage. My body trembled. Why did this scene feel familiar? Why did the red nose fit so perfectly in my hand? What was I doing at night? Have you ever woken up in a place you don't remember going to? In a state that feels completely alien? Tell me in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone. That night, I left a recorder on. I had to see what I was doing in my sleep. At 3:42 a.m., I stood up, with my eyes still shut. I walked quietly to the bathroom. In the footage, I stood in front of the mirror, eyes closed, with a twisted smile, frozen like that for minutes. Then suddenly, I grabbed my own throat and laughed, softly, showing my teeth, like a clown. But it was me. It was my body, my face. The next morning, I saw something on the wall. Smudged red marks, palm-shaped. I touched it. It wasn't paint, not tomato juice. It smelled metallic, like blood. I cleaned everything. But inside, I knew. Something was moving me. Like I wasn't the performer, just the puppet. Is it possible to clown in your sleep? Is sleepwalking enough to explain all of this? Or is something else using my body at night? Something that wants to be on stage? The next morning, my reflection had makeup on. Clown makeup, a white face, a red nose, jet black eyes. But I live alone. I didn't buy that makeup. Terrified, I ran to the sink. The drain was red, thick, staining. On the wall above the sink, someone had written one word. Smile. Last time I heard that word was when my mom died. She whispered it to me before she took her last breath. I hadn't opened the old chest on the balcony in years, but I did. inside were my childhood toys and a clown costume, a curly red wig, a white mask, labeled Smiley. Suddenly, it was like something snapped inside me. Memories returned, not dreams. Real, painful, a birthday party, a little girl, left out, covered in paint, standing on stage, alone. I was the clown, and nobody laughed, except me. Let me lighten the mood a bit. There was once a clown who made everyone laugh. One day, a man went to the doctor and said, "Doc, I can't laugh. Nothing is funny to me." The doctor said, "Go see the famous clown in town. He'll make you laugh." The man replied, "I'm that clown." My sleepwalking became a ritual. Same hour, same steps, same smile. And then I saw something new in the footage. Clown toys in the corners of my house. I started tying ropes around my wrists before bed. But every morning, the ropes were untied. Deep marks on my skin. And written on the wall in shaky red letters. The show must go on. Do you think this is just sleepwalking? Or our childhood traumas playing dress-up with my soul? Tell me what you think, please. I don't sleep anymore. I stopped tying myself down. Because now, I understand. The stage isn't outside, it's inside me. Sometimes I see a figure outside my window, curly hair, bent over, watching, but when I look, no one is there. My recordings are corrupted, the audio muffled, but one sound always comes through. Laughter. High-pitched, piercing. And it's not mine, but it comes from me. Today I made a decision. I put on the clown costume, the one I kept hidden for years. I stood in front of the mirror, looked at myself, and for the first time, I was honest. I performed, I laughed, I danced, I cried, and the pain quietly faded behind the applause I imagined. I'm that little girl again, the one who only wanted to be seen, to be loved, to make someone, anyone, laugh. Because the silence hurts more than anything else. The curtain has opened, and I've faced what I've become, not just a sleepwalker, but a clown trapped in time. And now, I just want to smile, even if it breaks me. If this story feels familiar, maybe you too wear a mask at night, maybe like me. You're still performing for ghosts. You're not alone. Write to me. Tell me your story. I'm Claire. You might not believe me, but that night, I didn't wake up. I saw a face in the mirror, but it wasn't mine. Another expression, another presence, another mask. I remember the night it started. Another episode of sleepwalking, I thought, but that morning, I woke up with something in my hand, a red plastic nose, bright, sticky, cheap. I didn't own anything like it. I'm a quiet person, a painter, a bit of a cynic, white walls, simple canvases, still nights, but that morning, I wasn't in bed. I was on the bathroom floor, squatting, and on my face was white paint. Mostly wiped away, but the traces remained. At first, I thought it was a prank. Maybe Emily had stopped by. My old roommate. But she's been away for months. Maybe Daniel? No. We broke up. He doesn't even talk to me anymore. Then who? Or what? I have to admit something. I hurt Daniel. I cheated. I lied. I blamed him. And the truth was, I was the one who never wanted to change. And maybe I lost him for good. Maybe I deserved it. That whole week, every night brought something new. Every morning, I found a trace left behind. One day, on the edge of my bed, a face was carved with a nail. One eye was large, the other tiny. And the eyes, they were watching me, as if someone else lived inside my sleep. Or maybe I was that someone. On the third day, I opened my closet. There was a costume, a clown suit, colorful, torn, buttons missing, and pinned to it, a little note. Did you forget again? But I don't forget. I keep notes. I even set up a camera to monitor my sleep. But that night, the footage failed. The video was corrupted. There was only audio, a laugh, muffled, high-pitched, joyful, but wrong, not my voice. Does the night set another version of you free? That question haunted me. I started dreaming, but these dreams didn't feel like mine. I never went to a circus as a child, but in the dream, I was standing on stage. The audience seats were empty, the lights were flickering, and I was there, wearing the same mask, the same outfit. I was walking toward a little boy. He was running away, and I was laughing. Then out of nowhere, Emily called. Her voice was shaking. Claire, have you started again? Started what? I asked. She went silent, then whispered. The painting. Years ago, back in our dorm room, when I used to sleepwalk, someone would draw on my face. At the time, I thought it was a joke, just college fun. But the joke became a pattern. I began painting my own face in my sleep, unknowingly, night after night. One day I woke up sitting in the middle of the school cafeteria, dressed like a clown. Everyone was staring. No one was laughing. The most disturbing thing happened after that. I found an old notebook, and in my own handwriting, there was a page I didn't remember writing. It read, "My name is Peter. Claire sleeps at night. Claire draws, but I paint in blood." The handwriting was mine, but the words were someone else's. Peter. Who was Peter? Someone inside me. Oh, the boy in the dream, the one who died in the circus. That night, I looked in the mirror again, dark circles under my eyes, but a painted smile across my face. Shaky. Forced. Red lips. And behind that smile was a version of me crying silently. Have you ever been forced to smile when all you wanted to do was break down? I'm not talking about cheesy jokes or awkward parties. I'm talking about pretending, about pain that hides behind paint. There comes a point where everything snaps. And when it does, there's no going back. It was 3:11 a.m., the lights were off, and sleepwalking began again. But this time, I had the camera ready. The next morning, what I saw shattered me. I stood up, walked to the door. Then I danced. I danced like a child on a stage. And then a voice, a little boy's voice. Peter, let's play. And I bent down. I reached out. There was nothing there. But I acted like I was holding someone's hand. Then I laughed, high-pitched, muffled, and it wasn't my voice. That night, I wrote in my notebook, Peter, if you come again, don't leave this time. Take me with you. Maybe Claire should sleep now. The next morning, there was a new note under mine. Different handwriting. You were ready when I arrived. You were smiling. If you've made it this far, I want to ask you something. Do you think sleepwalking is just walking in your sleep? Or is someone else waking up inside us? Have you ever been someone else in the middle of the night? What has your sleep done to you?